really feel like it'll change your whole...
Right, for sunglasses.
Well,
prescription sunglasses.
Also a new pair of glasses. Even though those are really cute. Change your whole face. We are joined by Dana Rachlin. Dana runs this amazing organization, which I don't know that much about, but from what I read on the surface is actually really important, and I have not heard much about anyone else doing similar type of work. It's called Nyc Together. Tell me a little bit about it.
Sure. So Nyc Together is a program that is a partnership with the NYPD. And what makes our partnership really special is that we're the only, we're not run by the PAO, it's not cops and kids basketball, but yet we're housed inside the police precinct. And what we do is we go into schools that are high suspension rate schools, and we ask them to pump the brakes on suspending a young person, where like in the past they would suspend that young person and call the police to deal with what happened, thus putting the young person into what we call the school to prison pipeline. And so we go into these schools and we say, hey, pump the brakes and allow us to come in with the police department as a solution instead of a problem. So our police officers are the mentors, the educators, the tutors, the friends, the big brothers to young people that are experiencing challenges, very real challenges that need to be addressed in a very real, sustainable way. And I would say, you know, I love our officers and I think that they're absolutely fantastic, but the real winners in this are the police officers, because they're getting access to young people that are helping them be better at their job, helping them be happier at their job, fulfilling them in ways that I don't think that they were being fulfilled before, and really bringing community policing to task in the streets in a real way.
It's a great idea. How many police departments are you working with now?
So we are in the 90th Police Precinct and we're in the 79th Police Precinct. So that's Bed-Stuy and Williamsburg, Bushwick, all those types of areas, South Williamsburg. And, you know, it's just been a really wild last year and a half.
I would imagine that they have so much on their plate, especially lately with the Trump lives in New York, it's crazy here, and over the last couple years there has been this like heightened terror alert, like everyone's really, really busy. So now you come to a police precinct and you say, I'd like to give you guys a little bit more to do. What has the response been?
So that is again a testament to the direction that policing is moving in this country. Because you're right, things are getting kind of crazy, right? There's the protests, there was, you know, everything going on, terrorism, you name it. And the police department has said this is a priority. And we are very lucky to have the support of the police department in a way that they know on Tuesdays from 2 o'clock to 5:30, those guys are with me. And not only do I have the guys, not only do I have the police officers, I have a room and I have a police van. So they've really afforded us the opportunity to break all barriers to providing the support that these young people need.
So explain to me how that works. I don't get it. You have the room, you have the van, but like what do you, like give me an example how it works.
So, okay, so let's say you are having a difficult time at school, habitually late, chronically absent, sometimes disrespectful to teachers.
Never, Dana.
I know.
I'm so, Lance maybe, teachers never. Go on.
So you're having all these things and the school says, you know, we're hitting a roadblock here, you know, maybe you're not passing your classes, whatever. We say, okay, so refer them to the program. And we have a cohort of students and the cops come in a van and pick the kids up from school, because we know for
all the kids that are having problems.
I would say that they're experiencing challenges. You know, I never want to put them in a position where they sound like they're problem kids, because I really don't believe in that.
Fair.
What we're saying is that these are young people that are experiencing challenges that are not being adequately addressed by other institutions or at home or whatever. And for all of them, it's different. It's really different. And so the police officers come, and what's funny is the first day of the cohort, the kids come down and they're like, hands behind their back, and their heads are drooping. And my guys, they immediately jump out of the van, hey, what's up, lots of pounds. And by the second day, the kids are flying in the second week, the kids are flying in the police van because they're pumping music, they're singing, they're rapping, they're talking about their day. So we pick the kids up from school. We go to...
this is after school?
Yep, so that the young person doesn't lose any school time, because we really believe that you should not be ejected from school because of a disciplinary issue. That's craziness.
Right.
So we keep the young person in school. After school, we pick them up. We go to a local restaurant where we get healthy food. We bring it back to the police precinct, and we do check-ins, like how was your day, what's going on, whatever. We eat together. I think that's super important, that we're sharing a meal together.
Right.
And then we do homework help, Regents tutoring, and then we do some kind of social emotional literacy work, or we do community service together. And it's not the cops supervising, right? It's the cops are participating. So, you know, we're all in this together kind of thing. It's a group learning. And in fact, a lot of the kids are teaching the cops how to do some really hard high school math, which is funny. And the cops are learning things about the world that maybe they didn't know before. I did a lesson on Malala, the girl that was shot in the head for trying to go to school. And they were like, what? When did this happen? It's like, this is a very real thing that is happening in the world beyond this block, right? So, and the kids are experiencing victories with the cops, and the cops are experiencing victories with the young people.
How do you measure success? How do you know if it's working?
So we measure success by tracking the young people's attendance and their grades. So typically in one quarter we see kids' grades go up between 3 and 9%, and their absences drop about 37%, just one quarter. One of my young girls, she was going to school like 1 or 2 days a week, and now she has 100%.
1 or 2 days a week?
Yeah, and now she has 100% attendance. Kids that were missing first period religiously are going to school on time, because one of the first things that we do in the first session is we come up with 3 contracts. So we have a community contract. What do we expect to happen in this room, right? I'm going to talk about things here that my peers shouldn't repeat in school, and the police officer should never use against me. So that's one contract. Then we do a school contract. What are you willing to commit to doing different in school? And we all sign that. And then we do an officer contract. So where the young people are informing officers about how they expect them to engage with communities. And I think that that's super important to empower young people, especially young people who are often marginalized and have received the brunt of bad policing, to have that voice and to really express to the officers, you know, what it means to engage in a meaningful way with them.
How many schools are you in right now?
We're in 3 schools. 2 are public and 1 is a charter. And we, you know, at first I was a little nervous about doing charter, but, you know, in fact, charter schools have a lot of issues with school suspension because they can suspend with impunity.
Right.
There's not the regulations that the DOE has. But I really love the schools that we're working with, and I think that the program is also successful because of the administrations in the school.
What's the goal? How many schools would you like to be in?
I personally think that this model should be replicated in any high crime neighborhoods. I think to achieve true community safety, we cannot rely solely on the police. We need to engage the community, and that goes beyond having cops and kids basketball games in Brownsville. That means empowering young people to complete their education, get the education and the support that they deserve, and also civically engage. And that also means that officers need to be civically engaged. Like, they need to be doing community cleanups. They need to be present at the murals. They need to be building gardens and really getting to know. We know there's data that shows that the way that we improve the relationship between the police and the community is based on their informal interactions. So we need to be doing more of that.
Nebraska is asking, where do you get your funding?
So I am very grateful that we have private donors, and we get some city money, and, you know, we're actively looking for some more money. We're always looking for more money because, one, we want to expand. We truly believe that this is the model for the rest of the city, the nation, and 2, our young people deserve this, right? So things are transportation, when we go on trips, food every week, all the trips that we go on, like, these things are really expensive. Staff, you know, we'd love to do like longitudinal studies on how this is impacting a young person.
Sure.
And we just know that this is a better investment of money than incarceration, than suspension and suspension sites. This is a much better way to invest money. It has a much higher ROI.
How did you get so closely involved with this? Was there something in your past that drew you in, or is your family related in any way in the NYPD? Or tell me how you came to do this.
I started my career at Center for Court Innovation, which was really focused on reforming the justice system, and we would do little projects, not little, they're big projects, to test these ideas about reform. And I was in the youth justice space and dealing with alternatives to detention. So a young person would be arrested, sometimes as young as 11 or 12. So that means an 11 or 12-year-old in handcuffs, in family court, with lawyers, with judges, with bailiff, with court officers. I mean, can you imagine the psychological trauma of this, being removed from school, the threat of detention? So imagine the stress and anxiety of being detained and out of your home. And I worked with young people to try to keep them out of detention facilities. Some of them had gone for a day or 2 days or whatever. But I really felt that when a young person was in cuffs, we're already at the problem too late. It's really hard to undo that. So in all of the ideas and the best practices from Center for Court Innovation was, let's work it before handcuffs are involved. Let's work it before there's a school suspension. Let's provide the resources that these young people need and deserve. This is the other thing. We're not doing anything here that is crazy. This is what children in our city deserve.
A second chance.
A second chance, or even just support, right? Like, it baffles me that we create criminal solutions to social problems, right? It's a wild premise to me, especially on the backs of our children.
We're talking to Dana Rachlin. Dana started this fantastic organization called Nyc Together, where she works with local police precincts to go into schools and sort of be this like conduit between the law and what could eventually be, you call it prison time. I mean, like, you take kids that are struggling a little bit and you bring them in.
It's the school-to-prison pipeline.
School-to-prison pipeline.
The other thing about the school-to-prison pipeline is that oftentimes we think about it in either the micro or the macro, and I want to think about it both ways. So one way is, okay, a young person gets into a fight with somebody at school and the cops get called and they're arrested. Now they're into the prison pipeline, right? So that's one way that we definitely want to avoid. And the other way is that if a young person is feeling challenged in school and not getting the proper support and they don't graduate, so if a young person is suspended even one time, they're twice as likely not to graduate high school. That makes them 3.5 times more likely to be arrested. And if you're arrested before the age of 18, you're 67% more likely to be incarcerated. If you are a black male who does not graduate high school, you are 100 times more likely to be incarcerated than your white peer. So these are real things that we need to be addressing. So I'm very involved in the reducing of the prison population conversation in that space, and I truly believe that if we want to bring down the prison population in simultaneously with what is already going on, we need to be focused on our young people, and we need to be focused on education and education reform and using best practices to support young people that need opportunity, that need support.
I can understand completely rehabilitating and working with kids who are missing school, who are late to school, who have no interest in school, who have trouble in school. But talk to me about the criminal aspect of it, starting fights, doing things that you really could be arrested for. Where does that play in?
Like that language, right? Like, when did it become criminal to get into a fight in school? Like,
I guess you're right. I misspoke. I guess I'm saying an activity that would lead to being arrested.
Right, but what I'm saying is, in the last few decades, we've created that narrative that if you are a young person, particularly a young person of color, that might have an IEP, so like some kind of learning disability, you are branded as, participating in criminal activity, when I would argue that a lot of this is you being a teenager, or you experiencing challenges at home or in your community and not being able to focus in school. So, we have to think about those things and really hone in on what is criminal activity. If you bring a gun to school, do I think this is the appropriate program for you? Absolutely not, right? There's a bigger issue there.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Talk about it.
How do you, how, what's the level between being, eligible for this program and not eligible for this program?
Yeah, I mean,
because I think it's an important point. Like, if you get into a fight, you should still be able to come. But if you're waving a gun around in school, maybe you don't deserve. You should know that that's not.
Right.
You know.
I mean, it's really hard for me to say no to any child, but the police department does have certain rules about who they let in their space, so I play by those rules. And really, that was the only barrier, was if there was a gun involved, that, you know, you're not eligible to be in the police precinct because we're behind the wall, right? We're not sitting out in reception. We're upstairs in a conference room that only police officers have access to. So that was the one rule, is, you know, no guns. But everything else, but I should say that also our young people are not like hardened criminals. They're teenagers. They're teenagers experiencing teenager problems that are amplified by circumstances that are sometimes beyond their control.
How long have you guys been doing this?
We launched in May 2015.
Okay, so you're fairly new.
We're very new. We're very green.
Yeah. Where's the program going? Are you going to first try to get into more police precincts, or are you looking to get into more schools?
We're being asked already to go into more police precincts, and we're being asked to be in more schools, which I feel very grateful for. But it's a funding issue,
right?
You know, like, there's one of me, and we need more. These young people need and deserve more support, and I think that I would task the city to look at us as a real resource and a worthwhile investment.
How can people help? Where can people get in touch with you? Or
so you could go to our website, which is nyctogether.org, and donate. And, you know, of course, we love donations. That's amazing. But also, there's a place for you to message us, and we have tremendous support. So we have a guy, he makes suits. He makes custom-made suits, and he's tailoring a suit for a young person. We have people that own restaurants that have young people come in and learn the trades of a restaurant and certify them for food handler's license. Like, there are other ways for you to get involved and support.
We could have a young person come in and produce this show. I mean, it would probably be someone with no ability whatsoever, and then Lance, like, if you're not here one day, that person can do the same job.
I would say that our young people are very tech savvy, so that would be.
So you're saying that they
learn something.
Yeah, they would come in and teach you something. So
I don't know how this got turned on me. John was asking. There's a show called Scared Straight.
Yeah.
Do you use some of the techniques from that?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So actually, we know, like,
I feel like she's well aware.
Like, data has shown that those types of programming don't work.
What is that type of program?
Like putting kids in these scary situations and trying to, like, that's not the method.
Scaring them into rehab.
Yeah, scaring them is not going to help. And also, I don't think that any of my kids qualify for that. I don't think any of the kids that they put on that stupid show qualify for it.
But how do you feel about the show?
I mean, it's just not our method. Our young people and our officers are so close. It's really beautiful. Like, my officers go to parent-teacher conferences, and they're involved, like, really involved in a meaningful way. I talk to them all the time. And so, again, when we're thinking about things like law and order, and we're thinking about things like community policing, I'm here to tell you that we are doing that work. Yep. We're not posting about it. We're not tweeting it. We're not saying, oh, this is the type of things we should be doing. I'm telling you that there are officers and young people that have taken law and order and community policing to the next level. They are practicing it, and they should be applauded. Young people who would never self-select to be around the police are doing the work. I mean, how tremendous is that?
I love it. I really love your passion for it. You obviously believe in this. You're pushing hard for it, and you're seeing success right now on a small scale because you just started. But if you can sell the game plan to the rest of the country, I think that's fantastic. Now, do you have to get parents' permission for the kids?
Yes. So we have permission slips, and I talk to parents a lot.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, I really like our kids to have, you know, some really great people involved in their life, and it becomes a team, right? It takes a village to raise a kid.
It takes a village for me to get dressed in the morning, Dana.
is saying here that she thinks this is a wonderful idea, that you should try to get state funding, not just through the cities, and maybe each state will do this program.
Yeah, I mean, we got started because Assemblyman Joseph Lenthal, who is the second most senior assemblyman in New York State, you know, wrote to the police commissioner on our behalf and really supported us. So we're actively trying. We're a new organization. We did just receive $37,000 from the borough president's office to put in a smart lab. So we're going to actually have laptops, printers, and a smart board inside of our classroom, which is the police precinct, so that the young people can be doing work and learning on tools that are relevant.
Time.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Commodore 64, where they're like...
Or I thought the iPhones.
The iPhones, yeah. No, because, you know, we're writing college essays, and I have a laptop, and we're, you know, like, we need these tools, right? And they are entitled to these tools, right? They are entitled to what everybody else has. So, yeah, I mean, we will continue to try to get state funding.
So tell us again, if you want to get involved, it's nyctogether.org. We're on Instagram at nyctogether.org, and we're on Facebook, NYC Together.
So John is actually, it looks like he's been on your website. He wants to know how you got started with the murals. He said that you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we love murals. In fact, we will be doing another one at the 7-9. So we have...
It's very, very fancy when you say, like, at the 7-9. Like, I was at the 1-2 today, and let me tell you, those boys, I mean, they are,
10-4, good buddy.
10-4, over and out. Breaker, 1-9. I mean, look, this is
somehow
fancy
it doesn't
talk.
sound that fancy when I say it.
No,
right?
I sound like a third
You sound
grader.
fancy. She sounds
I just
fancy.
did. I sound like I'm on Dukes of
10-4,
Hazzard. Breaker, 1-9. Roscoe Pico's in back of me. Okay.
What is the 7-9? 7-9
So
precinct?
the 79th precinct, which is in Bed-Stuy, and we are going to be doing another one there. I just measured it. So I love murals. There's a great organization called Groundswell that does social justice murals, and we first did one with them, and it was beautiful in Williamsburg, and I mean, it's really amazing. But we did our mural at the 90th police precinct, where the young...
That's the 9-0?
The 9-0.
So if you guys...
9-0 here.
The
9-0. My apologies. If you're writing this down.
And what we did was, and we partnered with Usher's organization on that one. He has an organization in New York City as well. And what we did was we took young people and we took officers, and they sat down in a room and they came up with an idea. And their idea was they made water, and in the water were all negative words around police-community relations.
Oh, interesting.
And then they made a bridge, and the bridge was all words of where we want to go and feeling hopeful.
Hold on. It was like a bridge over troubled water.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
And the young people and the officers came up with that together.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
No direction from us. We were very grateful while we were doing that. We had elected officials and community partners come in and offer guidance and whatnot, but really it was the young people and the officers. And it was important. It was an important exercise for the young people to hear the officers think about the negative words that they don't want to be associated with anymore.
It's a great idea. It's actually a really great idea.
It's
on the website?
We love murals, yes.
Check it out.
We have Usher's New Look posted a video as well with the murals. So we do murals, we do community gardens, we do cleanups, and then we're also really involved with social justice stuff. So a big thing is waste management in the city.
Yeah.
So our young people live in a district that holds 40% of New York City's trash.
Wow.
And 70% of New York City's industrial trash. And so what does that mean for young people or families living there, right? So we're involved in social justice work, raise the age. New York City, along with North Carolina, are the only two places that 16 is the age of criminality. And so that's, things like that. We're informing our young people, and they're becoming part of the efforts.
So that means that the age of... You're considered an adult at age 16?
Correct.
In New York State?
Yes.
And North Carolina?
Yes.
Because North Carolina I knew, but I didn't realize it was New York State.
So at any given day, there are 205 children sitting on Rikers Island. Let that sink in for a second.
Because they're 16 or 17.
Because they're 16 or 17 years old.
So the rest of the country has determined that the age of adult... Now, they're not allowed to vote, right?
They're not allowed to vote, right. So these, our young people should be the ones leading the charge in the fight against that, because it directly impacts them and their
Sure.
community.
I mean, I think obviously you could take a closer look, and a lot depends on what the circumstances were and what they've done. And sometimes I do believe that there's no age, I mean, realistically speaking, that's too young if your crime is so heinous. And I've seen this on the news, and I wonder about it all the time. You know, like a 15-year-old like raped a kid in school and brought a gun and tried to shoot her. It was like a whole big thing. And I thought to myself, well, does this person deserve a second chance, or does this person know at 15, like they are light year, like they have matured and they're in a system where they know that that's not right? And I know you're thinking you can rehab that person and they can fit right back into society.
What I'm really thinking is that what you're discussing is the exception, not the rule.
Correct.
I think that what we do
Agreed.
in America is sensationalize
You're
these
right.
super predators. We hear like these things, and it's like, and then who are the real victims? The Khalif Browders, who are 16 years old, walking home, and he gets scooped up by the cops for a robbery he didn't commit. He's too poor to pay the bail. He spends years in Rikers Island suffering abuse, and then comes out after being exonerated because speedy trial failed him, bail failed him, all of these, raise the age failed him, right? Like all those things failed him, and then he kills himself, right? And so,
wow.
I mean, Khalif Browder spent years in Rikers Island because he was accused of stealing a backpack and he was exonerated.
Okay, well, yeah, and
right, but so
please
but
understand that's not what I was thinking.
But no, I know. But what I'm saying is that's more the rule.
Yeah.
Like the more of the rule is that young people are being
everyone's like,
pushed.
down with Jenna. Down with
Jenna.
No.
I'm just saying that I want us to think about, when we think about raise the age, or when we think about bail reform, or when we think about closed Rikers, I want you to think about Khalif Browder. Don't think about the young person that created this extremely heinous act.
Right.
You know?
The flip side of this is also if you're a victim of a crime, like if you're a victim, let's say, of sex abuse or something, and you're 16, you're deemed to be an adult. So, right, like it flows through. Like in North Carolina, we had a situation that we talked about with somebody who was 17 when she was having problems at her school, remember? So, like, there are all of these issues, but like deciding, like, there should be sort of, if you're an adult, you should be, my only thing is if you're an adult to go to jail, you should be an adult to vote. Like, start there.
Right.
So if you want to have 10-year-olds voting, that's fine. Just, you know.
Right.
We should, voting rights is a whole other thing, because
we'll get into that another time.
Yeah, that's
okay, I didn't want to bring it off like to a complete tangent.
Right.
But that's me.
Yeah.
Right. But, and I will say
tired.
that we have one 18-year-old in my program who got to cast his first vote for this election, and we were super excited and proud of him for engaging in the democratic process.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You probably voted for Trump. Dana, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love your passion for this. You clearly are just on the cusp of what could hopefully turn into just a really great national program. I really hope you get the financial support and all of it to keep this going. I think what you're doing is wonderful. I really appreciate your time. Thanks. Come back and let us know how you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back.